this video, we're going to go over the next type of join, which is the outer join. The outer join is similar to an inner join, where it matches the common columns based off equality. However, what is different is that it will include all the records of one or more tables, even if there is no match with the other tables. So for example, if I wanted to show all the customers, regardless of whether or not they've placed an order, but do match them when they have an order, I'd use an outer join. So I'd say select star from customer with an alias of C, left outer join order with an alias of O, and then I would join on c.customerID equals o.customerID. Now the keyword left here means that I'm going to include all the records from the table that immediately precedes the keyword left, in this case customer. I could also use right outer join, which would include all the rows from the table that immediately succeeds the keyword right. Now outer is an optional word, but it is encouraged to use. So a left outer join is going to return all the results in solid blue, as you can see here, including where they cross over with order. Right outer join is going to include all the results, as you can see here, in solid blue, including where it crosses over with customer. The issue with this is that an order cannot exist without being associated with the customer, so the results would appear the same as our inner join. And then there is a full outer join where we include all the customers and all the orders, regardless of whether or not a customer is associated with an order. Now, full outer join is not available in MySQL. You could use a union in MySQL to be able to perform a full outer join. All right, here we are back at the server. I'm going to go ahead and run this query. And we see that contemporary casuals is associated with the same 6 orders that were done with the inner join. However, if I scroll down, you'll start seeing null values associated with the order information, indicating Value Furnitures has never placed an order. But even though it did not match up with anything, I told the results to include all customers, even if they haven't placed an order. And that's why Value Furnitures has been included. So now I want you to do this learning activity. So try these 5 queries on your own, pause the video, and then come back to compare your answers. All right, welcome back. I've gone ahead and copied all the questions and commented them out, and we'll go ahead and answer these queries. So this first one asks to show all product lines and their associated products. So let's go to our entity relationship diagram first. So we see product and product lines. So what connects these two together is the product line ID. Now, I also want to include all product lines, even if they're not associated with a product. So I want to use a left outer join and have product line first, or a right outer join and have product line second. So let's go ahead and write the query to do this. So I'm going to say select star from product line, and I'll give this an alias PL. And then I want to include all the product lines, so I'm going to say left outer join, and then I'll join this to product, give that an alias of P on PL.productLineID equals P.productLineID. So I'll go ahead and run this, and we see all the results for all the products associated with the product line. And we'll notice here that the Spanish style product line and the Gothic product line have no products associated with it, and that's why all these values are null. Okay, so this next query asks us to show the payment type used on each payment and include all payment types. So let's go to our entity relationship diagram, and we see that payment type is associated with payment. And we see that the common column is payment type ID on both of these tables, so that's what I'm going to join on. I also want to only include the payment type table, so that's what I'm going to include in my outer join. So we're going to say select star from payment type, and we'll give this an alias of PT, and then left outer join, because I want to include all the payment types. And we'll join this to payment, and we'll give this an alias of P on pt.paymenttypeID equals p.paymenttypeID. We'll go ahead and run this query, and we can see that all the deposits that matched up were returned, and then refund and transfer, which did not have any records, were still returned even though they do not have any records. All right, this next query asks us to show orders and the salesperson, if any, that sold the order, and then include all orders. So let's go to the entity relationship diagram. We see the connection between order and salesperson, and the common column is salesperson ID between these two. This if any part of this query refers to this optional, meaning that not all salespeople are going to be associated with an order, but we still want to include the matches where that exists. So I'm going to use an outer join here because I want to include all orders, even if there's not a salesperson assigned. So we'll go ahead and select star from order. Make sure we put that in tick marks because that's a reserved keyword. We'll give that an alias of O, and then we'll left outer join because we want all the orders. And we're going to join this to salesperson. We'll give that an alias of S on s.salespersonID equals o.salespersonID. We'll go ahead and run this query, and we see all the orders that are listed here. And if I keep scrolling down, eventually we'll see, I may have to even page, yep, we'll see right here that there is no salesperson associated with these orders right here because there's no salesperson ID. Okay, so this next query asks us to show the order lines and their shipment information, and then include all order lines even if they haven't been shipped. So order line and shipment, these are the two tables that I'm interested in, so we're going to include all the order lines even if they're not associated with a shipment. So I'm going to show you a right outer join this time. This time I want to include all order lines, so I'm going to select the shipment information first. So I'm going to say select star from shipment, we'll give that an alias of S, and then I'm going to do a right outer join, and I'm going to join this to order line. So that means include all order lines because we're using a right outer join instead of a left outer join. Then we'll give this an alias of OL, and then we'll say on S dot order line ID equals OL dot order line ID. We'll go ahead and run this query, and we'll see all the order line information here on the right, and then all of these records that have null values here on the left have not been shipped. All right, this final query asks us to show the first and last name of salespeople that haven't sold any orders. So let's go to our entity relationship diagram. Again, we're dealing with salesperson and order. So we want to include all the salespeople regardless of whether or not they're associated with an order, and then remove those that have been associated with an order. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the first name and last name from the salesperson table, give that an alias of S, and then we'll do a left outer join because I want to include all salespeople. And we're going to join this to order. Make sure we put that in tick marks because it's a reserved keyword. Give this an alias of O, and then I'll say on s.salesperson ID equals o.salesperson ID. I'm going to go ahead and replace the first name and last name with a star temporarily, and we're going to run this, and we see the salespeople and those that are not associated with orders. So for example, Doug Henney is not associated with any orders. Now let's go ahead and put first name and last name back, and we see that Doug Henney is included, but we also see all the same salespeople listed multiple times, including those that were associated with an order. The fact that it's showing these names multiple times indicates that they have been associated with more than one order. Otherwise, their names would only appear once. Okay, so now what I want to do is only show those who have not been associated with an order. So I'm going to say where order ID is null. Go ahead and run this, and we see Doug Henney and Mary Smithson have not made any orders.